greatest co-host in the world. What's 2K99? Get ready to rumble!
The tag team champions of the world.
My brotherly creepass.
That is the best intro I have ever received.
The world. The Buffalo Jets fan.
Yo.
George Fant is a barely above replacement level, pretty good left tackle.
How can you say
Compare
that when
that
he
to
was
an-
top 3 in sack percentage last year for left tackles?
And I think when in doubt, until you have better reason, go with the optimistic view. And our defensive line is going to be giving a lot of people some trouble.
But yeah, it's got to be. I'm with you. I don't like the Nathan's fries when they're like floppy. It's got to be like done really well. You know, it's very hard to teach 6'3" and 4.3 speed. That's very rare. The talent's there. He's just got to put it together mentally.
Right.
To get
You're a
on
cheater.
you, I'm a cheater. Let's go. Let's go. Here we are. And the news is no news, but my question is, when news? When are we going to get some news? Okay, so what's up, some guy? How you doing? I was just thinking, how long is Derek Carr going to wait to make a decision, right? And how long are the Jets going to wait? And are they on the same page anyway? I was nervous. I was thinking, oh my God, if we're going to wait for Rodgers, if that's what the Jets want, if Aaron Rodgers is the number one goal and they're waiting for him, what if Derek Carr goes, well, screw them. I got New Orleans or I got Carolina offering me all this money. And then he goes there and it's too late. But then, you know, I listened to everybody else talking, you know, guys like Ryan and Matt and Green Bean and Buffalo. And I hear everybody's opinions. Ian, you know, the list goes on. I can name all the great content providers that I listen to, just like anybody else. And one of the things that's resonating with me is, you know what? Maybe Derek Carr is not in such a race, because if I'm his agent, I'm thinking, if Aaron Rodgers says I'm staying with the Green Bay Packers, which very well might be the case. I don't think he's retiring. He could. He's rich enough. But that's a lot of money to leave on the table. A lot of money. So now I have a friend who's a Green Bay Packer fan. He's a brother-in-law. And he told me last year that Favre wasn't leaving Green Bay last year. He said, look, he's punishing them. He's making them suffer and sweat it out every year because of what they did to him when they drafted Love. He never forgave him for that. But also that he might not have any desire to play anywhere else. Now, we could speculate all we want. It doesn't matter. The reality is that it might be true. Aaron Rodgers, there might be nothing to this. Aaron Rodgers might be messing with everybody. And he might come out and say, I'm playing for Green Bay. I'm a career Green Bay Packer. He might say that. And if he does, Derek Carr just made himself an extra $3 to $5 million a year. Right? Instead of maybe. I'm just saying, like instead of 34, 35 range, suddenly he might be 38 to 40 range, because there's one less available quarterback with the same amount of teams that are desperate for a quarterback. Because the one thing about Green Bay is they're not in the market for Derek Carr. They're not in a situation where if Rodgers wants to go, they're looking for another quarterback. They're going to give Jordan Love a chance. So the balance swings in the favor of demand. And that's a good thing for Derek Carr. So Derek Carr has no reason to say, screw the Jets or screw this team for not signing me, waiting on Aaron Rodgers. How dare they? I'm going to sign with somewhere else. He just has no reason for it. So it's not something, so Derek Carr's not in a hurry. But is he intentionally waiting? I mean, if the Jets decided we're sick of waiting for Aaron Carr or we don't want Aaron Carr, and they went out hard right now on Derek Carr, is he saying, no way am I making a choice? He's going to make us wait because maybe he wants the Aaron Rodgers thing to resolve itself. Maybe. Just saying. The Saints are freeing up money. I know they're freeing up money, but it's very hard for them. If you look at their contracts and look at over the cap, it's not like they're cutting guys without leaving over a lot of dead cap. I mean, there's we can cut this guy who's scheduled to make $18 million, but it's only saving them $8 million because they still have to pay, still have to recognize $10 million in dead cap money. And then you got the situation of how many guys are they going to cut? Where it gets to the point of why would any quarterback go there? Because they're not going to have anyone left. I mean, if you start cutting your whole team and you cut all your stars because you can't pay them, why would Derek Carr go there? There's no more Sean Payton in New Orleans. What's so attractive about playing for the Saints at this point? If they start cutting stars. If they have to cut key players, they're not a Super Bowl team anyway. Andy Dalton played pretty well. Didn't do anything for them. Didn't make them that special. And Dalton actually played well. Not enough for me to ever want Andy Dalton on our team or want him to be a solution in any way other than a backup quarterback. But he actually played well. Now, it might be situation. I don't trust that it's replicable because the way he played in Chicago is the Dalton we would get if we tried to start him. We would just get an awful quarterback. We get a quarterback that was a statue. It would be just Joe Flacco all over again. So I am in no way saying that I want Andy Dalton, but he played well in New Orleans, but he's old and he's not reliable. I mean, now Derek Carr going to New Orleans, I don't know if the level of play as far as the way Andy Dalton played just for that sample last year is that big of a difference to make up for the amount of talent that New Orleans would have to part with to make them any real threat. Yeah, maybe they'll go 10-7, maybe 9-8 if they had Derek Carr, but I just don't see him having any realistic chance. I know people say the NFC is easy. It's not easy. The Eagles are good. Right? The Eagles are really good. And I'm not going to sit there and say, people hate him, so you want to say, oh, Dallas stinks. Every year, Dallas, I know, disappoints and doesn't really do it, but they're good. It's not like you're easily going to roll on these teams. I think Tampa's done without Brady. I really do. And that coach is just awful. We know Todd Bowles very well. But the Giants were getting better. I know we don't want to admit it or say it, but they seem to have a great coach, and they seem to be going in the right direction. Every year, new teams are going to pop up. The 49ers are good. If Purdy comes back, whether it's Purdy, whether Trey Lance works out, they're a solid team. The Rams might rebound. I mean, someone's going to pop up and be good. So to sit there and say, oh, well, it's easy. It's an easier road. I don't buy that because the goal is not to go to the Super Bowl and lose. The goal is to go to the Super Bowl and win. So if I'm a player and if I'm a quarterback, if I'm Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, I'm saying, what's the best situation for me to win a Super Bowl? I'm not saying, what's the best situation for me to go to a Super Bowl and lose? All right, fine. You go to the Saints. You have a little bit of a better chance to make a miracle run to the Super Bowl. Are the Saints going to beat Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincinnati? I don't think so. I mean, you might disagree. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think Derek Carr makes them that much better when you look at how Andy Dalton played for them because they got good quarterback play. That wasn't their issue as much as you think it would have been. It simply wasn't when you look at the numbers. It wasn't their issue. I don't know what their issue was. As a matter of fact, I didn't do enough research. I don't know about the Saints enough. I'm just saying, I don't buy it. I don't buy. Like everybody else, I know that we hate our own team. We have this self-hatred thing. So we want to sit there and every time another team gets into the picture, we want to sit there and say, oh, this is definitely going to be the team that this team is going to be a better situation. The players going to want to go there because we're the Jets. We got to get over that. Robert Saleh is a good salesman. People want to play for him. He's a good guy. The team is trending up. There's a young core there that's very solid, and New York is a great market. So we got to let go of this. Everybody's a better landing spot than the Jets. It's simply not true. We're not a bad landing spot. We're really not. I think that agents and players are smart enough to look at the recent 3 years. I don't think the history matters. If the history matters, how did Tampa Bay finally get good? They had a horrible history. We have teams that go up and down and have horrible runs of year droughts. Even the Jets have done it, right? We had horrible drought in the early 90s to the 90s, and Parcells came because he recognized the market and he saw potential. He saw some players. He saw a core there that he can build around. That core is there for us right now. And if you don't want to see it, I'm sorry that you're so late to the game. I saw it developing 2 years ago. Like, it's amazing to me there are still Jet fans that don't see what's happening. But some of you see it without even knowing you're saying it, because now you're yelling, it's just the quarterback. We could be, you don't even realize what you're saying. Do you remember 2 years ago? The last thing you'd say is it was just the quarterback. 2 years ago, you were saying, and rightfully so, we suck. We have the worst roster imaginable. It's not the case anymore. It simply isn't. I don't know how you cannot be agree with the statement that teams are desperate for a quarterback. I think that we're desperate for a quarterback. I think that now that Tom Brady's gone, Tampa Bay is desperate for a quarterback. Carolina has been desperate for a quarterback, unless you just define desperate differently. I don't know. But I use the word desperate to say you're just not, you just don't go very far in this league without a great quarterback. I'm not saying you can't do it with an average quarterback that's solid and an amazing team around them, but you've got to have competent quarterback play. And then even traditionally, overall, your odds of winning and being a real contender dramatically rises when you have good quarterback play. So you're talking about desperate implies overpaying. Okay, look, I think we're safe there, buddy. New York Jets FL. I think we're safe there because I think that JD, I trust JD in that way, right? I think so far he's proven that, and it's like, I understand, but we haven't done a good sales job because of our owner there. Our owner, because when you say business, to me, that means every sentence you should say is, yeah, we're definitely interested in a veteran quarterback. We also still believe in Zach Wilson. And I know that makes the fans want to throw up, but I think from a business perspective, you have to say that. Because whether you believe it or not, because of the business perspective, because you don't want to appear desperate. But the reality is, if you feel desperate and you feel the only way you're going to win is getting a good quarterback, you're desperate. But you don't want to show it. You never want to show desperation. I think that the context is important. The reality doesn't change the what you want to present doesn't change reality. Now, they know Zach Wilson behind the scenes better than we do. They know if they believe, that they're like, they want, they know what they truly believe. I don't know. We're making stupid statements. He's a Hall of Famer. I think that context is important. If they're saying to him, I think you're a Hall of Famer. All right. But the word can, if what they're saying to him is, hey, if you come here, and they're saying, hey, we have the kind of core, we're going to have a top 5 defense for you. We got Garrett Wilson. We got Breece Hall. We believe in these weapons. We're committed to continuing build the offensive line. And if you come to New York and we put that around you, we believe in you. Now, you want to say this to him, right? He's not going to go to a team he doesn't believe in. And you say, we believe that the level of play you've shown with those weapons and a top defense, that we can win a Super Bowl here in New York, possibly 2. And if you come here and we do that, you're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think if you say it in that context, that's not a stupid statement. That's a factual one, or a very realistic one. If you're saying to him, you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, you just need the right team. You're a Hall of Fame quarterback. Stupid statement. I agree with you 100%. So to me, it's all context, in my opinion. I want stability at the quarterback. Give me Carr the next 4 to 5 years. Yeah. I mean, I understand that argument. I do. I understand that argument. Carr is a 4 to 5 year ride out this team kind of guy. Whereas Favre, I'm saying Favre already. Aaron Rodgers might be just a Brett Favre. And we don't need that. Although after Brett Favre left, it didn't sink our organization because we went on a pretty nice run. What's going on, Thomas Cahill? How you doing? Different coaches, though, for that run. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue this, Micro Fox. Well, now, we did drop off at the end where we weren't in the games, but I think that eventually it just caught on to us. The competency was so bad that the rest of the team just freaking lost it. And Mike LaFleur had no answers. But the game against Jacksonville and the game against Seattle was very ugly. Very, very ugly. But even those games, if we had a competent quarterback, I think it changes the whole complexion of the game. I do. I think if we have a better quarterback, we beat Detroit. I think we definitely beat Minnesota. We definitely beat New England that second game with a competent quarterback. Definitely. I mean, there's so many games that I could make an argument that I believe we'd win. The Buffalo game, Mike White doesn't get hurt. I think we're on the track of very close. I mean, that's a 50-50 toss-up game. Flacco comes in, the fumble, the whole thing. Imagine putting a competent quarterback in there. And I don't want to get into the arguments again of who's competent and who's not competent. I mean, let's just stay general, right? Whether we like Carr or Rodgers, we like them both. We don't like either of them. We don't like Jimmy G. We like Jimmy G. We argue for freaking Jacob. I don't care. Let's just talk in general terms. Competent quarterback play. And we win a lot of those games. And also, I'm not going to leave out not being the worst hard luck team in freaking NFL and losing AVT. And we were already having lots of injury issues with the offensive line, but the AVT and then the Breece Hall, who's the guy who, even without great blocking, could make the big play, whereas our other running backs are good with good blocking, but not the kind of guys that can turn a bad offensive line and excel anyway. Breece Hall, I believe, was hitting that special level of running back that even with a subpar offensive line or a bad offensive line could break a big one or two when the offensive line actually did execute and a hole did open up. So there's that. Competent quarterback play, guys, though, at the end of the day. Competent quarterback play, we make the playoffs, right? I mean, I don't think there's any watching and following the season really argues that fact. Jeremy, something bothering me, I know is a minority opinion, but I really believe that there are 2 quarterbacks in the draft that we can get and have top level potential. Look, I'm not judging the quarterbacks in the draft, Tom. What I'm questioning is, can we afford to do it again? I mean, now you have another guy coming in. I mean, quarterbacks are not even 50-50. They're freaking 25% going to work out, 75% disappoint. In my experience. For the Jets, we never freaking hit. And even when we hit, something goes wrong. Like O'Brien and Chad Pennington. They tear the rotator cuffs. I mean, nothing ever goes right for us. But, by the way, those were pizza rolls. I lost 24 pounds. I'm celebrating. It's Saturday. I'm going to freaking eat. Freaking dieting. It's just, I at one point called my friend Jason. I'm not going to say his last name. He's a private guy. He's not even on Facebook. And sometimes I think he might watch the show. I don't think he does, but he might. And he just doesn't say anything because he's a private person. But my friend Jason, who I grew up with in Brooklyn, whose last name starts with a Z. I once sent them a text saying we should just freaking draft 3 quarterbacks every single draft. First, second, third round. Quarterback. Every year. Until we get one that comes into camp and says, holy shit, this guy can play. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just so fed up with it. I said, can we just get a quarterback and then we can start building a team? The problem is if you get that quarterback, if you don't have the rest of the team in place at all, it takes too long to get it in place until you're out of the rookie deal, and then you have to pay the money anyway. And then the other thing is you get the quarterback killed before he can do anything. I mean, look, I wouldn't even be against quarterback comes in, he looks amazing. Offensive line is not ready yet. We're not going to win the Super Bowl anyway, right? Let's say the defense, whatever the situation is, put him on the bench. Don't let him lose his confidence. Let him sit and develop on the bench and in practice. But, right, don't stick him out there to fail. I don't know. Look, if they took a quarterback, if Stroud, one of those guys slept, and we hadn't signed, we lost out on Rodgers or Carr, and they didn't happen, and we drafted a quarterback, I'd be shocked, like blown away shocked. But I know a lot of you would. All right? And I'm not blaming you or arguing against it. I wouldn't be angry. Or I wouldn't be angry. I would just hope. I'd say, please be right this time. Like, rather than sit there and go, they're so stupid. How can they draft a quarterback again? And now we have to wait, and he's not going to. Instead of that, I would be shocked. I'd be like, oh, my God, we took a quarterback. But then I would just be hopeful. I'd say, please let it be because you saw something in this guy, and this time you're right. That's how I'd be. Screw Chris Sims or whatever the hell he says. I don't trust him for shit anymore. Maybe Salah's a 50-50 quarterback guy, and he's due to get it right this time. I don't know. So I'm not going to fight or argue it. I'm just going to say I don't think we're taking a quarterback, whether I like it or not, whether I agree with you or not that it's a good idea. No matter what I argue, the reality is it would be a real shock if we chose a quarterback, like a tremendous shock, at least in my opinion, to me. Maybe you wouldn't be shocked. I would be shocked. Like shocked, much more than when we picked Sauce Gardner. Much more shocked than that. Like as shocked as anything I could think of that's happened in the Jets in 10 years. It would be incredibly shocking to me if we picked a quarterback. But that doesn't mean I'm saying it's stupid, and it doesn't mean I'm saying it would piss me off or make me angry. I'm not saying that. Someone is saying I should order an 8-size pizza. Look, I'm just having a snack because I was going on this. It's only 3:14 here. I'm going to have something very nice for dinner. I mean, I might go to my favorite place that has like a very authentic cheesesteak. They get the bread from Philly, the Asmoroso rolls. So I might do that. Like whatever I'm going to do tonight, I promise you there's going to be some good eating tonight. I just wanted to clear out the freezer a little. I was hungry for a snack. There was like a big bag where there's only 6 of these little guys left. I said, it's a snack. Will Corey Davis be back with us next season? We don't know. We don't think so, unless he restructures, is the answer. I think most Jet fans agree that we're not going to pay him, for whatever it is, $13 million. Cookie. So I would think, my guess is no, he's not going to be back. Of course we complain. Not all of us, but it's very rare for this fan base to not be divided. Like every decision we make divides this fan base. And even when it works out one way or the other, the half that was wrong, 95% of the half that was wrong never admit it. They're liars. They make excuses. They deny it. And I don't think it's just this fan base. It's pretty much every fan base. But when we're united? We're united. Well, I'll say 99% because there's always troll Jet fans that are always trolls. We are 99% united. 99% in a couple of ways. When Sauce Gardner won Rookie of the Year, we celebrated and we were united. When Garrett Wilson won Rookie of the Year, we celebrated and were united. When Joe Klecko went into the Hall of Fame, we celebrated and were united. When Darrelle Revis went into the Hall of Fame, we celebrated and were united. When we win, we're united. I would love it if we could be united when we lose. The reality is we're not. But when we win, we're united. Those are the moments. And that's why winning is so healthy and so great for a fan base, because it unites them. And when you're united, you can do great things. Bills Mafia proves that. They accomplish great things. But I want to say that we can unite for other things. Because a good friend of mine benefited greatly because we united to help somebody. So there are times that we could unite, even when it has nothing to do with the Jets. It's nice to remember those moments. And when we're fighting with each other, that at the end of the day, if one of us was in need of help, we come together and we provide that help. So that's nice. I love the name Mario. I do. I'd rather make a run at the Super Bowl in 2 years with Rodgers rather than Carr, who we don't know if he can play in New York. Carols? In New York Carols? Are you thinking about the cold? The cold would concern me more if it was like a 40-game or 35-game sample. I think it's like a 10, 11-game sample. And a lot of those 10, 11 games were like in New England or recently in Buffalo. And if you look at them, they were very tough games with, that, and the Raiders had a horrible defense. And I'm not arguing for Carr. I'm not getting into it where I'm arguing for Carr. I'm just saying, in any case, whether I was for or against them, even if I was against Carr and didn't want Carr at all, I still wouldn't use the argument about 10 games of his career being in the cold. Does it raise an eyebrow and can make me concerned a little bit? Yeah. But, 10, 11 game sample, like the sample that they give of Carr's record in the cold just isn't enough for me to really be convinced that it matters that much. That's just my opinion about it. Yeah, look, once somebody like Sauce Gardner started playing at the level he was playing, people stopped complaining about picking him with the 4th pick. And there were a lot of people who complained about it. Some people want to say I complained. I didn't complain. I was surprised. I was concerned about Edge, but I wasn't complaining. To me, there's a lot of players we could pick that I don't expect to pick, but I won't complain, like even this year. You know what I mean? We pick one of the top 3 OLs, whoever JD likes, I'm not complaining. We take Brian Branch, I'm not complaining. I'm surprised maybe I'd prefer an offensive tackle, but I'm not going to complain. They bring in Nigba. What's his name? Is Jackson Smith Nigba. I can never say his name unless I'm reading it. I'm not going to complain. That Jordan Addison, not going to complain. Like, there are picks they could make with that 13th pick. They could trade it back, right? If they trade it back and take, get a first rounder for next year and add on another second or third rounder this year. There's a lot of things that I might not love, and I wanted something else, but doesn't mean I have to complain. That I'll understand and be okay with. You know what I mean? Like maybe, a lot of people feels like they get on one thing. It has to be this or I'm angry. Like, if you don't take this player, I'm pissed and I'm not, and I don't know. I'll just say Jigba. Okay, the end is silent. Okay, Jigba. Jackson Smith Jigba. To treat the end as silent. Thanks, Jennifer. She's Irish in telling me that. Maybe in Irish it's easier. We really like the ends and we don't put the in the sound of words. Anyway, we're Irish, so it's easy to say Jigba. Just keep doing it until you're right. Getting it. Okay. Jets mess. What's going on, brother? It's good to see you. Yeah, like this would be shocking. It would be shocking. I don't know enough about him to complain about it, though. I really don't. It would just be shocking. That's to me. I'm going to just accept whatever he does. I'm going to accept whatever happens. I'm going to accept whatever happens. I'm gonna, and one of the reasons I'm gonna accept whatever happens is no matter how you feel about any of the quarterbacks that are out there, it's just such a jump forward, no matter who it is, because we had the worst quarterback play in the NFL last year. So anybody is a big leap up. Now, I don't want to. I would be mad if that leap is expensive and we're paying it like it's a premier leap. Like it can't just be, oh, we're better than we were last year. I get that. If they sign, let's say, Jimmy G to a $40 million a year, 5-year contract, I'd be effing pissed. Right? Because I'm like, what are you doing, guys? But at the end of the day, as long as they don't do something stupid and like overpay somebody, if we can't get Rodgers and then Carr, they don't get Carr, let's say he goes somewhere else. Okay, whatever, whatever we do, it's going to be improvement, but it has to be reasonable and it has to be the right value. I think that's what New York Jets Florida was saying. You can't do something stupid. You got to still, it's still got to be good value. Like JD has to hold on to that principle of value. Man, I'm so far behind. I don't know what people are talking about, so it's hard to the reference. If we get the healthy 2019 Mackay, AVT, Brees with Aaron Rodgers, hopefully we sign for Jason Kelce. Yeah, look, man, there are combinations. There are things that can happen where I'm not going to say, oh, we're winning a Super Bowl and making the Super Bowl guaranteed, but I will believe. I was thinking at some point during last season, there was moments where I was thinking it wasn't impossible that we could be the Cincinnati this year. I mean, at 7-4, there were moments where I was thinking, oh my God, Brees Hall's getting better every week. What if our defense keeps playing great and Brees Hall just carries this team? Like maybe we can shock some people. I mean, I wasn't thinking it's likely, but I was thinking it's possible. That's what I was thinking. What up, Jack Chaos? Why can't we get our guy? We'll get our guy eventually, brother. We'll get our guy eventually. I mean, it'll happen eventually. That's what I think. I'm gonna just believe that it'll happen. Oh, I see Italy Jet. What's up, brother? I don't recognize this. Is this a person I know with a different screen name, or we got a new person that's giving me a super chat, which I really appreciate. Right-handed downtown Brooklyn. I love it. I don't know what it means, but I love it. Maybe you're right-handed and you live in downtown Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn because those of you don't know, grew up in Canarsie. I love Brooklyn. It's my hometown. I'll always love Brooklyn. I always feel it in my heart. You can take the boy out of Brooklyn, but you can't take Brooklyn out of the boy. It's always in me. It shows in food more than anything. When I roll my eyes at people for when they eat pizza and say it's good, that shit. Like that's the Brooklyn in me. I'm like, you don't know what pizza is. You really don't know what pizza is. I watch people the way they eat their pizza. They hold the pizza with both hands and the crust that's flopping over, and they don't know it's that, and then knife and fork, thin crust, knife and fork. I mean, like there are things that drive me crazy. Also, when they eat that genetic fake Italian ices here, like out here, they have this horrible brand. It's like a franchise. I forgot what it's called, and oh my God, I'm like, people, you just don't know. And the Italian food in California, oh my God, it's so bad. I mean, there are places that are good, but like the average place is so bad. Like they don't know with chicken cutlet parmesan, like with chicken cutlet, that you're supposed to pound the chicken. They'll give you chicken cutlet parm that's pieces of chicken breast this thick. It's like ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. You have people, I don't even understand if they know how much it helps the channel when you do. There's a lot of ways to help. Just watching, chatting, liking the videos. I mean, there's subbing. It all helps. I immensely appreciate it. The super chats are amazing, and it's also a huge compliment to me. So I appreciate that too as well. Agree. I'm tired of the roller coaster ride. I accept whatever quarterback we get at this point. Along Zach, I don't, as long as Zach doesn't start. Yeah, I mean, I get it. And it's hard for me to swallow because, it's hard for me because I really believed and thought we had the answer with Zach. So, it's really hard for me to, like down to the bone. It's really difficult for me to accept that Zach Wilson failed. It really is. But what I do, instead of saying it as a permanent thing, instead of saying, oh, Zach Wilson can never be great or anything like that, I choose to use the words, Zach Wilson did not play well. He played very poorly. And I'm not going to comment about any potential future he might or may not have. I mean, I have said it. But I'm saying is I'm not going to obsess over it. I have said it. I just think it's very unlikely that he comes back from this. And not based on anything other than it's just very rare. It's very rare that somebody gets off to a horrendously bad start for 2 years, plays the way he's playing, and then somehow succeeds. And I don't think it's about talent. I think it's about the mental part of the game. But I hope he does. And I hope it's for the Jets. I hope somehow, he ends up being a great quarterback for the Jets in some weird way, like after these next couple of seasons and whatever happens. I would love it for him to turn out to work out, but I can't count on it. Don't expect it. But thanks for the super chat. I agree. Somebody's asking how I ended up in Sacramento. Do they think I'm rude? I'm going to address all this. Most people are entertained by the fact that I'm from New York. And then they'll joke and give me a hard time about it. Like, oh, I'm from New York. I know what good pizza is. Like, they'll make fun of it, like more of a joke. I wouldn't say that people have never accused me of being rude. There are some people get very defensive about the pizza. Like, they're convinced that we don't know what we're talking about. And it's not even a Chicago thing. Like, because forget about the really good, excellent deep dish pizza that's made very well in Chicago. They will take their crappy, disgusting pizza here in California and sit there and try to take an attitude with me that their pizza is good. And it absolutely is the most frustrating thing in the world because it's complete garbage. It is disgusting. And their chain pizza that they like here, there's a place called Round Table, disgusting. There's a place called Mike's Mountain or Mountain Mike's Pizza, disgusting. Disgusting. Floppy, doughy, not crisp, horrendously bad cheese, sauce that's tomato sauce, cooked sauce, which is not pizza sauce. The worst pizza. Out here, they cover it in toppings because you have to, because it's unedible. If you just got sauce and cheese, you're eating it for just pepperoni. That's the way to make it bearable. That's how bad the pizza is here. I'm not saying there's not a couple of places. I found a couple of places in Sacramento, but the guy's from Brooklyn. Now, he doesn't have the water, but he's making it. At least he's using the right ingredients and getting the flavor of pizza. I have to drive 40 minutes if I want it to be authentic. If I want to get a place where I'll say this is as if I'm in Brooklyn, I have to go 40 minutes to Fairfield, California. There's a family from Long Island. Don't know how the hell they do it. They figured it out with the water here or whatever they did. I never asked. Who knows? Maybe they have that special treatment where they make it like New York water. I don't know. But it's like walking into a place. They're from Long Island, but it's like walking into a place from, Queens, Long Island, Brooklyn. It's a real slice. It's not special. It's not like the better places. No one in Brooklyn would say this is the best place in Brooklyn, but it's acceptable. It's a neighborhood. Like, okay, I'm watching the game. I order a pizza. It's pizza. But the pizza out here is horrible. And so I don't get accused of being rude for it, but there are people who take an attitude and think they're right and want to actually argue with me about pizza. And Joe Grant, I agree 100%. New Jersey pizza is awesome. It's like I watched David Portnoy and like from Barstool Sports, and not that I didn't already know. I have friends, Nick Shine, in Jersey. He's told me about it. My friend Sean lives in New Jersey. He's taken me for good pizza in New Jersey. I mean, I know there's good pizza in New Jersey, but these new styles, not new, but these styles that were never recognized before. Like, people don't understand that all these bars in New Jersey, and there's this whole style of pizza called bar pizza, tavern pizza or bar pizza, and it's this thin crust, wonderful pizza, like just crispy and just amazing. And then they have tomato pies in Jersey, which is like a Brooklyn style pizza, but the sauce is extra sauce on top or whatever, delicious. And New Haven, Connecticut. Amazing pizza in New Haven, Connecticut. I mean, Pepe's and Sally's Pizza. Amazing pizza places. And then you could find places all over the country because in North Carolina, there's a DeFaro's, like the Cousins or whatever, Pizza Tavern, which is the cousins of the real DeFaro's in Brooklyn. And I'm not saying it's as good as DeFaro's, but it's freaking amazing pizza for any city. Like, it's amazing. And they actually have the machine and use the New York water to make their crust. So, you know, I'm not one of those guys that argue you can't get pizza anywhere. I'm one of those guys that are just honest when a pizza place sucks. I want the pizza to be great wherever I am. I want there to be accessible pizza. But I'm not going to lie about it and pretend that pizza is good that's not good. When it comes to that, I'm a snob. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that crappy pizza is good. Like, pizza is about the bread. And if it's not crispy and golden and it doesn't have a crisp to it on the outside, to me, that's not pizza, or it's not acceptable pizza, which is why I have a problem with some Neapolitan pizzas. It's delicious sauce and cheese, and I understand the concept. But if it's floppy, doughy pizza, I'm sorry. It's just, you know, it doesn't cut it for me. Thomas Cahill, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate you, brother. Jeremy, can we get a development quarterback like Clayton, Taylor, McKee, and let Zach go after 6-1? I guess that's possible. It's very unlikely. I'm not against taking a 4th, 5th round quarterback like the kid from Stanford. There's a couple of them out there. You're saying Clayton too. I just think that the issue is that Zach's even post June 1st, Zach's contract is kind of painful. It doesn't really help that as much as you think, because it would still be, I think, I want to say like a $10-12 million cap hit, and I think it's for 2 years that it would be a cap hit, and then like $5 million for 2 years after. Like, it's still pretty bad. Like, it's still money. It's still bad. Whereas if we just let him play it out, the post June 1st after this year maybe is more digestible. I think it looked more digestible, but cutting Zach Wilson just doesn't seem like an option right now. I think it's even post June 1st, because then it costs us the same amount of money. And what's the point? Like, maybe with a new coordinator and a new quarterback coach, maybe he shows some promise. The guy had moments. He has talent. There's still a slight, small hope that he could be something. Maybe not a starter. Maybe he could be a real backup, a legit backup quarterback. Like, I don't know. But cutting him just doesn't seem to make sense, Tom. I mean, in my opinion, anyway. I've looked at it every way and sideways. Go to overcut. I looked at it in every combination, and I just can't see how cutting him helps the team. Because especially if we have to pay a quarterback now. He put us in a bad situation. Like, he definitely did. So, but thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, brother. A lot, really. Big Al, how did I end up in California? In 1996, when I graduated grad school, I went to California, and I ended up in high tech, and I lived in California for about 8 years. I mean, there was a stop in North Carolina in between, but let's say I was back and forth and lived in California from 1996 to 2004. In those 8 years, I spent about 6 of them in California in 2 different stints in the Bay Area. So it was high tech that brought me there. It was wanting to get out of Brooklyn at the time. I wanted to do something different. My brother lived in the Bay Area, gave me a place to stay while I got settled. Loved the weather, wanted to check out something new. Had really good friends in Sacramento from college, some close friends, so I was very familiar. Then fast forward, I end up back in New York with my wife, moved back east for her when we met. We're back in New York, lived there from 2006 to 2016 for those 10 years, and would visit California. And my wife hates the winter and says, man, we did this the wrong way. I should have moved to California for you. And then long story short, in 2016, in the early part of the year, I won tickets, JetBlue tickets in a school raffle anywhere in the country, except there's I don't want to like ruin the channel. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. They're S bags, and you can only use it for barely any airports. And the only place I could fly was Sacramento. So we flew into Sacramento, visited my friends, and they were having a big Bloody Mary mimosa party. And it was February, and it was 78 degrees, and the kids were in the pool, and we're drinking mimosas, and they had 3 pounds of cooked bacon for the Bloody Marys just out there, and you could eat it as well. And you guys know me about food. I said, I want to live here. and party with these people. And Jocelyn felt the same way. And 6 months later, at the end of the school year, because this was February, by June or by August, we drove out and moved to Sacramento, and we've been here ever since. That's how I ended up back in California. And that's where I am. And is it for life? I don't know. I mean, we like our house and we hate moving. It's so stressful. So when we moved into the house from the apartment that we had out here, I think we looked at each other and said, this is it. We're done. Never again. But never say never, because I do get tempted to go back, especially because of this channel. Knowing all these Jet fans, it's like so tempting to go back. Like it would be so amazing to live in Jersey and get to see, go to games, see people. And so never say never. My wife even misses New York a lot. So what's up, Jim Pock? How you doing? Oh, this is interesting. I'm done with quarterbacks for 23. Sign White and Brissett. Draft Hooker. Hooker will be a star in the NFL. Joe Campione loves Hooker, and he doesn't like just any quarterback. So you know what? If he's a star, Joe, I will never forget that you called it. Okay? I'll never forget you calling it if he ends up being a star. Carmelo Elboriway is out there. What's going on, brothers? Good to see you. You think that Mayfield's better than Tannehill? Maybe so. Maybe so. A lot would argue that he's not, but I'm not going to argue with you. Like, if you want to feel that way, you can feel that way. I'm tired of yelling at everybody for having different opinions. I'm going to try never to do that again. I know I'm not going to last, and it doesn't count for guys like Jets forever. Like, stupidity is stupidity. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to lose my crap when someone says stupid things. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I can't. I just can't. Like, there's a level of, everybody has their level of what they can tolerate. I cannot tolerate certain things. Like, it even ruins the things I agree with him on. Like, when Jets Forever says things that I agree with, I don't even feel good about it, because it's like, yeah, but I've read the other things he says, and it's so bad that it means nothing to agree with him on anything. There's no camaraderie about it, because I can't put any respect or value into anything he says, because what he says is so ridiculous. I would think that Zach has been distracting his depression by playing COD all day with his friends. I would imagine that Zach is probably miserable. Everything, the way everything has went down, he is wrong or right, or whether it's fair or not doesn't matter. I'm just saying the reality is, I think Zach is probably miserable. He probably wants to get out so bad. I know I would. I would want out so bad, and it's not even because I'd be accusing of them of doing anything wrong, the Jets. I would just want out because of it's probably so toxic for him. I can understand it, because I felt that way in jobs. Whether it's my fault or not, where the place has become so incredibly toxic that I would do anything to get out. But yeah, he did look lost. That's a big part of the NFL, is being able to handle the speed of the game. And, and it's hard to tell in college who's going to be able to and who's not going to be able to, Yeah, I think I think that Carr could be as good as Eli. I mean, I've said it before. I'm not, I thought I could be an expert. When I saw Zach, I said, I know. And I know, and I could, and I'm an, I know this, and everybody else is wrong. And then I learned that I don't know shit, because look what happened with Zach. So it doesn't feel like I could. It's really hard for me to differentiate and say that I can honestly give you a reason or say why I would say Eli was better than Carr, or Carr was better than Eli. Now, I could look at I haven't looked at the numbers. I've never compared their numbers directly, but just from feel, I watched a lot of Giant games. I lived in New York during the years of Eli. I watched those Super Bowl runs from the Giants. He's a good passing quarterback, but he wasn't elite. He just wasn't elite, but he was good. And there's only a few elite quarterbacks. There's like 3 or 4 at a time, maybe, right? Per generation, even. There's not many that are elite, but there's a handful that are just good. Like Phillip Rivers was really good. He wasn't elite. Eli Manning, really good, not elite. Matt Ryan in his prime. Joe Flacco, they were good. They were good quarterbacks, but they weren't the type of quarterbacks that made you a Super Bowl contender every year, right? Like a Tom Brady, well, Miami, it's a bad example, maybe because Miami screwed it up and put nothing around them. They never gave them a running game or a defense, but like Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Steve Young, now you have Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. There's been guys that they're at a level where it's different because it's not, they don't need as much around them, right? Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, they don't need as much as the good ones. Like with Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, they need everything to come into place. But they could. They're good quarterbacks. They make you a decent team. They're not a weakness on the team, and you could win a Super Bowl with them. And I believe Derek Carr's in that group. You could win a Super Bowl with them, but everything around them has to come into place, right? With Eli Manning, the Giants made the wild card, and their defensive line, like when we had those good games where we got like 8 sacks and we looked amazing, it has to be that throughout the whole playoff run. Like everything, and then did you see some of the catches that the guys from Eli made? And the offensive line played amazing. So it's like everything has to come together and be perfect for those quarterbacks. Like everything, like Joe Flacco needed a great defense. They point to, before Lamar Jackson, they point to Baltimore and say they never really had elite quarterback play until Lamar Jackson in 2019. They never really had it, but they had freaking historically epic defenses. Like to that Ray Lewis, those defenses were epic. Even like Phil Simms, right, when he won a Super Bowl, and then forgetting his name. What the hell's his name? The guy who replaced him for the Super Bowl run in '91 for the Giants. Horseradish, whatever the hell his name was. Those guys, everything fell into place for Phil Simms, right? He had an amazing offensive line. Joe Morris, running backs, the best linebackers in the history of the NFL, not just Lawrence Taylor, but like the combination was ridiculous. The defense, epic defense. The Giants in 1986, their defense was epic. One of the greatest ever. Like 85 Bears defense, Jim McMahon won a Super Bowl. Was Jim McMahon elite? No. Was Jim McMahon better than Derek Carr? No. All right. But they were good. Oh, Hostetler. That's right. Hostetler. Everything around them came into play. Everything around. And I hate when people say you can't do that anymore. No, come on. That's nonsense. The game hasn't changed that much. It's not true. It's not true. Because it was just a few years ago. It was while I was living here in Sacramento, which seems so recent. I remember the Super Bowl party right before the pandemic, a year before, that we watched Jimmy G in the Super Bowl come within a play of winning the whole Super Bowl. He missed an open guy. But a lot of times he would make that play. It wasn't because he wasn't capable. He just wasn't consistent enough because he wasn't elite. He doesn't hit it every time, but he was good. So I think it's a really long answer. I think that Derek Carr is definitely in the Eli Manning category of if everything came into place, he could be a quarterback on a Super Bowl team. He's just not the guy that carries them. He's an important piece because quarterback's an important piece. He's just not a quarterback that's going to carry them. He's not a Tom Brady where no matter how bad things seem to get, you can still win the Super Bowl because you got Tom Brady. Like what he did for Tampa. Like, he makes everybody better. He's almost like a coach on the field. Like that's not there, right, with a lot of these guys, but very few are. So the reality is we simply don't have an elite quarterback, and it's almost impossible to get one. And to get one in the prime of their career, like a Lamar Jackson, you have to give up so much that what you're going to end up with is they're going to be good enough to make you a playoff team every year, but you're going to waste them because you don't have the capital and money or draft picks to put the team around them to win Super Bowls. Now you know what I mean? So you're kind of screwed either way. You get kind of screwed. It's kind of a bad situation if you just can't select and develop a great quarterback. And I think that's what Joe Campione is saying. He's saying, guys, the only real answer is you have to find the right guy in the draft. What's up, Hader Ali? Good to see you, brother. Sean Bennett, Rich. I just want to make sure I see all you guys out there. It's just hard because I'm like scrolling through. It's really, really rough. And if you look at in general, the teams that won Super Bowls regularly were the ones that drafted and developed elite quarterbacks, like Buffalo with Josh Allen. They haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but they're in a position that they could win one because they drafted and developed one. They didn't have to trade crazy capital for him. Now they have to pay him, but they didn't have to. They didn't have to trade draft capital though. So it's going to be a hard road for us because we didn't do it the traditional way. Now, other teams have. The Raiders won a Super Bowl with Jim Plunkett. They went out and got him, right? He wasn't drafted and developed. I forget where they got him from, if he was drafted by them, left, whatever. But Jim Plunkett was, nobody cared until he came and all of a sudden won a Super Bowl. Then it was like, holy cow, Jim Plunkett. He didn't have this long, storied career. And even Steve Young wasn't drafted by the Niners, but I will say they developed him. But he wasn't drafted by them. They were able to get a quarterback. But I think that's a little different than what we're talking about. We're talking about who went out and got a quarterback and won a Super Bowl. Tampa Bay did with Tom Brady. But I don't think they had to trade a lot of capital, did they? I think they just had to pay him. But still, they were able to do it. But they had to get like the greatest of all time. And he still had some juice in him that he was able to do it. So it's not easy. It's not easy. Let's hear from a Raider fan. Thanks for coming on. My eyesight is horrible, so. Ride Orty. Am I saying it right? Ride Orty? Ride Orty Raiders. Thanks for joining. As a Raiders fan that watched Derek Carr's entire career, I'm interested to see what he could do with the Jets. He is nowhere elite and shrinks when the game matters most. You say that, but I have a question for you. He's in the top 8, I think, in all-time comebacks, like comeback wins. So when you say shrinks when it matters most, are you talking about games that have meaning for playoff implications? Or are you talking about you're not talking about game situation in general because he has tons of comeback wins? My thing that with Derek Carr is simply, I think that if Eli Manning didn't have the Giants' defenses, if the defensive line, if Michael Strahan, if that was never there, and the Giants' defenses were average, Eli Manning has no Super Bowls. He didn't carry them in any way. I'm not even saying if Eli had a bad defense, because no quarterback with a bad defense, very rare, could win. But I'm saying even if, let's say Eli had a good Giants defense, but not what they did, not the defensive line where they were amazing and one of the best in the NFL on those runs where they were getting tons of sacks and pressure, then he doesn't win a Super Bowl. So I put Derek Carr in the Eli Manning category. And we're going to know for sure if he comes to the Jets. We're going to know because it's not going to play with a defense that's, I think, overall, and different rankings rank differently, but most would agree, most ranking systems, DVOA and all the others, that if you look on the course of his career, the Raiders overall in those 6 years or whatever it was, 7 years, had anywhere from the 25th to the 30th worst, best defense in the NFL, meaning they were in the bottom 26 to 30. So yeah, it would be hella interesting to see what Derek Carr could do if he had a defense that was ranked in the top 10. Because he went 4 seasons in a row with over 4,000 yards. He put up some really good numbers. Turns it over a little too much. We'll see. If the Jets sign Saquon, call it a day, no quarterback necessary. Well, I don't agree with that because Breece Hall was playing just as good as Saquon when he went down. And I still wanted to have a quarterback. He really was. Breece Hall was leading the NFL, leading the running backs in the NFL in yards per carry, which to me is the most important stat. We could argue about who had the better offensive line for the rest of our lives, it's all that stuff. But still, to me, it's like, what do you look like? What do you look at more than yards per carry? Carr's in his stature, at least the guy can run and throw. He's more of an athlete than Flacco, that's for sure. Jets can finish with an 11-5 record. Well, it'd be 12-5 or 11-6. Don't forget there are 17 games now. The stout defense and beefed up line. I think they could do better. I mean, I think they could be like 12-5, like in a, let's say, 17-game thing. We have a very difficult schedule this year, though, so I'm very concerned about that. But I have also learned that you don't know how difficult the schedule is because the teams on it change. Like who's good changes every year, so you don't know for sure. Yeah, look, this is why it's hard to go out and get a quarterback, whether it's Carr or Rodgers. The reason it's hard to go out and get one and win is because of what it costs you. And I don't care. There's no such thing as a quarterback that doesn't need the right pieces around them. It's just, it can't happen. They have to have the pieces around them. They can't do it by themselves. They have to throw the ball with someone. You need to have a running game. You can't tell the defense you're going to pass every play. And if you do pass every play, then you're going to have the receivers. They're going to have to catch the ball. I mean, we have a lot of drop passes from receivers. We know that having receivers that are reliable and can catch the ball is important. What I'm excited about is I feel like we have the tools, that we have those players. But we still have some holes. He has a condition, a blood circulation condition? Wow. Well, they're going to have to study that because New Jersey is not a warm place. I'll admit that. And Rodgers, we know, can play in the cold. Not against San Francisco's defense, apparently, though. He didn't look good that game. Not the past year, but the year before that. So what is Jesse Collier? Someone I don't know. Don't recognize you. Welcome to the channel. Derek, I think I haven't read your message. You may insult me, and then I'm going to hate you. No, just kidding. Derek Carr will be at training camp trying to connect with the offense. Aaron won't. So it will probably be slower start with Rodgers. I'm worried about that. I don't think it's unreasonable to be worried about Aaron Rodgers' commitment to this game anymore. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm not judging him in the sense that I'm saying that he wasn't committed last year. I'm not going to go that far. I'm just going to say I don't know that he was, and I don't know that he wasn't. But yet, there are players that you know are committed to their team. Like it shows more, right? So there were things that went on. Just his behavior. You know, the things he says, they felt like he's kind of like in his own world, like Aaron Rodgers' world. Like there's like a lack of hunger and humbleness of just wanting to win. Like it's like there's a lack of him saying, I just want to lead guys and win. I want to go to war and win. I'm tired of losing. I want to win. But then at the same time, him getting pissed at Green Bay for not giving him weapons in the draft is it's not like it was just the Jordan Love pick. He had been disappointed in the past and frustrated, or at least we think, allegedly, about them just not feeling they were committed to giving the weapons that he needed to truly win. So, but I'm not going to lie. I don't know for a fact because I don't know Aaron Rodgers. I'm not friends with him. I'm not behind the scenes, but the appearance is that there's a lot going on with him beyond football. And that's a little bit concerning because usually during the playing career of a player, you want to hear that they're very, very committed and obsessed with winning. Tom Brady, we can hate him all we want. He was a lunatic this whole year. Until this last year with Tampa Bay, and you saw what happened. He had his worst year as far as success. Tom Brady was like a Jerry Rice. People don't want to give him credit for it, but he was like a super hard worker. He was obsessed. He put hours and hours in. So there's something to be said about it. I don't know anything about Derek Carr except what he says. He appears to have a great attitude, to be a great team player. Again, I'm not going to say officially. I'm not going to say 100%. I'm confident that Aaron Rodgers isn't committed, but there's, to me, less evidence. There's more doubt, and more fear, and question whether or not he's truly 100% committed. Anytime a guy has to think so hard about whether he wants to play or retire, it just feels like, like right now, Garrett Wilson is not thinking about retiring. You know what I mean? Like, what he wants. How hard he's working and how badly he wants to be great. Sauce Gardner. I mean, I know they're young, but still, when you get to the age where you're thinking, do I want to play or not? That's concerning. That's concerning. I don't want a guy that feels his best years are behind him. Like, I would hate to get Derek Carr if he felt, now I stretch out the years and make as much money as I can. I had the core of my career. I put my work in. I wouldn't touch him with the 10-foot pole. So that's not what I hear about him, luckily. But if we get him, I'm not going to be worried about it. But I'm just saying, it's important that you get somebody who's hungry, who really wants to win, who's not just there to collect the paycheck, and pad their own stats as best they can. Sometimes there's overlap of that. Them padding their stats is good for the team. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you want team first, win the game first over your own stats. So I see people love to argue over Lamar. I don't know why. We're not getting Lamar. I've been saying it the whole time. And here's why I'll say it. Even if the Ravens trade him. Now, I'm not arguing whether or not. I know Jen wants him. Jennifer's like, give the whole team for him. That's fine. But what I'm saying is, this is why I'm saying we're not going to trade for him. Because Joe Douglas he learned how to be a GM from Baltimore. So if Baltimore is saying to Lamar and to themselves, Lamar Jackson's not worth $50 million a year guaranteed for 5 years for whatever reason, because he gets hurt too much, or because we're worried he'll get hurt and it's just too much guaranteed, whatever the reason, if they're saying he's not worth it, there's no way in my mind that JD's going to say, well, not only do I think he's worth it, but I'm going to trade you 3 first-round draft picks and the money. Like, there's no way the difference between JD's thinking and Baltimore's thinking could be that spread out. That Baltimore is thinking he's not worth the money. But the Jets are thinking, JD's thinking, he's not only worth the money, but I'll raise you 3 first-round draft picks. I don't buy it. Now, who am I? I'm just a schmuck looking into the computer talking. So, do I know anything more than Jennifer Slattery? No, I don't. She might be 100% right. She might be right. Lamar Jackson might be so elite. And if we could hold on to any of the pieces of our defense, and Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, maybe we're a Super Bowl team, even without the 3 picks and paying him all that money. Maybe we are. I just don't believe that Joe Douglas is going to make that trade, though. Like, I don't think he's going to make that move. I don't think that's how he's built. Because everything to me that he's done is more like the Baltimore Ravens. He's building this team in a very similar way than the Baltimore Ravens did it. Like, he's building it through draft, responsible spending, not putting all your eggs in one basket, not having, being way over the cap. Like, he feels like he's, not only did he learn from Baltimore, he's behaving like he's a Baltimore GM. And even if you look where else he was at Philly, if you look at Philly, how did they build this Super Bowl team? Yeah, they added on a big piece with the trade at the end there, right? For Johnson, but Brown. But at the end of the day, he built the core of the Eagles through the draft. And the Eagles built through the draft, and they were not a salary cap trauma team. Like, they made intelligent choices. They're going to lose free agents now. They're not going to sacrifice the team 3 years in the future and start making crazy deals now to keep everybody and commit suicide like 3 years from now. The Eagles look like a team that are building like, we want to compete every year for the next 10 years, 11 years. We want to keep it going. It's a different philosophy than what the Rams did. It's a very different philosophy. And that's who JD is. Like, I'm not even saying it's wrong or right. I'm not arguing it is wrong or right. I'm just recognizing, like, who is our GM? What is he proven to be? Is he more like Baltimore, the Eagles, Pittsburgh, New England? Or is he more in the category of the Rams, New Orleans? Who else? Miami. And is like this big splash, try to just put it together, go out and make a giant move to get a couple of superstars. To me, what I'm observing is he's just not going to be the GM. Whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, it doesn't feel like he's going to be the GM that goes out and makes giant moves like that and brings in, crazy superstars, unless maybe we get to that point where he feels that superstar is the final piece that's going to get us to Super Bowl. And I think that that's what he feels about. Like, with the difference between getting Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr to Lamar Jackson is, with Rodgers, it's less draft capital, less guaranteed money for a less amount of time. With Carr, it's no draft capital and not as much money, right? Like, even if Carr gets $40 million, it's not the same as $50 million, and it's not for 5 years guaranteed. It's probably 3 years guaranteed. So these are big differences. These are big differences, especially in the careers of GMs whose jobs don't last long. Those extra 2 years could be you losing your job when you get stuck with a guy who doesn't work out, or if he gets hurt. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of just studying the guy and deciding what you think they'll do. So let's see. So I know a lot of Raider fans. The Raiders are split too as a fan base, by the way, because I know Raider fans who hate Derek Carr. I live out here in Sacramento. They can't stand them, and then some people love them and some people think the Raiders are nuts and they're pissed off right now. Some people are neutral, and some people are so glad he's gone. So they're just like us. So when people, so I appreciate the perspective of Ryan Doherty, and I appreciate your perspective, of course. I'm glad you're here giving it. But one thing I did learn is that there's no one representation of any fan base. Like, when I go to other channels and they ask me as the Jets guy, I always tell them, I say, look, man, there's a lot of Jet fans who disagree with me. I'll tell you what we're arguing over, but I can't tell you what the Jet fans want, because the Jet fans don't want the same thing. So if I was on another channel and they say the Jets want Derek Carr, I'll say it depends on who you ask. A lot of Jet fans would say hell yeah. And a lot of Jet fans are saying no. I mean, there's no simple answer. Like, the only thing I could say that all Jet fans, are united is we all love Sauce Gardner and happy we have him. We all love Garrett Wilson and we're happy we have him. That I could say we're together on. I could speak to any other fan base, but I think they already know that. I don't think they need our opinion on that. So Darren McCallum, another Irishman. McCallum, well, maybe Scottish. Carr is the guy. Give me at least 3 years. Okay. If you're Irish, even though Jennifer Slattery is Irish, you guys could not be further apart in your opinion. Corey Davis, Berrios, Carl Lawson. These are guys that looks like are going to get cut. Am I right, Jennifer? I don't even have to know the context. When I see the name Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios, and Carl Lawson together, that is a person who's listing the players we're going to cut. And sure enough, if I look down, yeah, Jen, we could save $50 million. I think there's a chance that we go out and get that we cut Whitehead. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't expect it. It might have to happen. If we end up paying a quarterback, if we go out and get a quarterback and we pay more than we think, and we want to bring in some other pieces, like there's some other piece we just can't resist, or maybe we're not going to go center in the draft. Maybe we're going to sign McGovern. Not saying that's what I want. I'm saying that could happen. There's a chance that they need to cut Whitehead to make that happen. Like if maybe they keep Connor McGovern and Whitehead's the casualty, because cutting Whitehead he's due to make $10 million. If we cut him, we take a $3 million cap hit and we save $7 million. Now we have the money to sign McGovern. The problem is, what are they going to do at safety? Maybe they say we're going to go Tony Adams. We're going to draft somebody, Ashton Davis, and then find someone on the garbage heap the way we've done. Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying. They might think that it's more important to get a center and then not use a draft pick on a center. I mean, I don't know. They have a lot of different plans and scenarios. You know what I mean? Like, that's why, like, if you ask JD right now, like, forget the combines haven't even started, but even as they begin to rank the players, before they know who they're gonna pick. I mean, they have to see how free agency goes, right? I mean, although it didn't impact the draft as much as we thought, because they still took a tight end and they still took a cornerback, even when they signed Reed and then picked a corner, which was a shock. And then they picked Jeremy Ruckert at tight end, even though they had signed 2 tight ends. So as much as we could sit there and, we could also realize that sometimes it doesn't matter who we sign. JD obviously goes with his power rankings. He goes with the guys he believes in. Tampa Bay has the best coach in the NFL, hands down. Todd Bowles has the it factor. LOL. I'm so glad you put the LOL in there. I would have been really worried if you didn't. You missed everything, Finger Lakes. You missed everything. I told everybody, I guaranteed, I know who the quarterback's going to be for the Jets this year. I know who we're getting. I know exactly who's getting cut. I know who we're signing. I even know who we're drafting. But I'm sorry, I can't say it again. You missed it. I'm just kidding. I think we draft a safety, but we keep Whitehead. Can't have 2 newbies back at safety. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. I don't argue it. I'm just giving you different possible scenarios. Like after Braxton Berrios, Carl Lawson, and Corey Davis, who's the number 4 guy that you can cut at some kind of cap hit? That's not a free agent that you can cut. I can't think of a 4th guy. So I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying that Whitehead is the 4th most likely on this team based on just situation. Like, I can't think of another guy. Like, there's only 3 guys really that we can cut to save money before Whitehead, and then Whitehead is that 4th guy, I think. I'm trying to think of another player that we can cut that would save money. Can't think of one. So, do I think they'll do it? No, I'd be surprised, but not shocked. Like, that's not a big shocking one. That would just be like, wow, they really did it? What are we going to do? I mean, I really soured on Whitehead. I do not like guys who put showing off ahead of the team, and Whitehead put showing off ahead of the team. He needed to have the big hits. He needed to be a hot shot, make the big hit so he can get the big cheer from the crowd, and he didn't wrap people up and tackle them. And he hurt us really bad on multiple occasions. He really hurt us. Now, he didn't have to, though. That's the thing, Darren. That's the one thing I'll say is he didn't have to be bad. He was bad because of his attitude, because he wanted to be a big shot. If he humbled himself and just tackled, he has good instincts and he could be fine. But you have to wrap your arms around the player and tackle them and not worry about the big hit. And that was his thing, the big hit. You don't make guys fumble because of the big hit, because of the big impact. You really don't. It happens, but that's not how you do it. I talked to a guy. I learned something. There's a technique in the way you tackle, where you are wrapping your arms, but you're also doing one tomahawk as you do it. Tomahawk wrap. And you can watch in slow motion as the linebacker from Indianapolis who's one of the best at it. There are guys known for it. You could watch them in slow motion, watch the highlights, and you could see them doing it. There's a technique to it. But just running in high and hitting a guy to knock him on his back and, give him a concussion or whatever, or knock him silly that he can't move. It looks really good when you execute it correctly, but when half the time you don't make the tackle and then the guy breaks away for 20 more yards, no. So look, Whitehead was bad, but he could be. I'm saying he could be functional if that's the coaches. They need to, that's on the coaches to coach him. So, and basically not just coach him. He's old enough to not need to be told that. He just needs to be told, we will sit your ass down if you pull that crap. I'd rather have Ashton Davis out there who will listen and follow directions and wrap up guys and tackle them. Jets packing up for combine. No quarterback news for another week. Well, I mean, probably not, but I don't know that for sure. I don't, because we don't know that there's no news, because what if Rodgers publicly announces I want to be traded? And Green Bay's working with teams and talking to teams. That's news. Or if Rodgers says, I'm staying with Green Bay. That's news. Or if Carr says, I just signed with New Orleans. That's news. So there might be news, but I know what you're saying. We're not going to actually sign someone, maybe, because we're packing up. But even that, I'm not so sure. Maybe you know more than I do. I don't know that rule. I don't know the rule that we can't pack for the combine and be at the combine, but JD can't be on the phone and still agree to a deal. Like, I don't know that. Maybe we're going to meet the agent at the combine. Maybe if JD's in town, maybe at the combine, he and an agent meet up for dinner, and have a negotiation. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. Yeah, he didn't wrap up the ball carrier. I'm telling you. I mean, how many times with you, Jim Pock? You're on with me and Green Bean. You're on when we're doing the reaction party. Thanks, man. Absolutely. F the Patriots. Good to have you on, man. We appreciate you. Come back anytime to hang out and talk football. So I don't know. I mean, it feels like a deal can happen at any time. I'm prepping for it. I'm so frustrated at work because I'm like, my God, if we sign Carr or trade for Rodgers or something happens right now, I'm stuck at work and I can't do anything about it. And there are other Jet YouTube content providers that are home waiting for it to happen so they can jump on and get 1,000 people on the stream to talk about it while I'm stuck at work. It's so frustrating. I need to win Lotto. Then I could just sit at home and just do YouTube all day. Be great. Then again, if I won Lotto, I'd still want to do the channel. I mean, I don't think the two are. I don't think it's not about money. So I'd still want to be online doing the show. So I just would be able to do it full time and not have to worry about a job if I didn't have to work. Lotto. Hoping for that JD magic, huh? There's also ways to structure deals. So we don't know about contract restructures. We might keep players that way, or we might sign. We think we can't get any new free agent. Oh, if we bring in Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, we can't get another free agent. We don't know that. He might find a way. We haven't extended Quinnen Williams yet. That's a problem. That's making me a little anxious. Am I wrong to say that Quinnen Williams? Well, maybe someone would argue Sauce Gardner. I feel like in some ways Quinnen Williams is the most important person on the Jets. Well, he's definitely in the top 3, right? Top 4. I mean, if you name the most important players, Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, as we found out, AVT, Breece Hall. I mean, these are the key players. We found out about Breece Hall and AVT, how important they were. They went down, and we couldn't win one game the rest of the year without them. So we found that out. But I kind of feel like we have to work something out with Quinnen Williams and get that taken care of. Yeah, I don't think I think if I imagine the Jets developing into a Super Bowl team, part of that imagination of that happening, includes Quinnen Williams leading our defensive line, and being part of that. Why do I see it on YouTube, but I don't see Hader Ali? Why don't I see him through StreamYard where I can highlight his comments? That's what I don't understand. I know Hader Ali is out there, but his comments don't show up in StreamYard. It makes no sense. Oh, there he is. Carl salary, 4 years, $160 million to be structured. That first year cap hit between 13 and 18 million. Spread bonus over 2 years, 50 million during signing, and another bonus second year with 2. Yeah, so you see, there's always weird ways to spread out the money. There's always these weird ways. What's up, my holy king? Thanks for telling people to hit the like button. I appreciate that. It's kind of cool. We need to re-up Q. Yeah, man. I mean, plus just to get the fan base's confidence back, because we don't do that enough. People were pissed over Marcus May. Can you imagine how pissed people are going to be if we don't freaking extend Q? I know. Because if you franchise him, you have to take the whole hit. You can't structure it in a friendly way. So we absolutely do not want to do the franchise thing. Now we have him for this year, right? We could extend him at any time during the season, like we did with JFM. But I don't know why you'd want the distraction. Do you really want to start the season without Quinnen Williams being extended? I don't. I want that resolved. I don't want it on his mind. I don't want it on anybody's mind. I just want him to have his contract and let him focus on making us a Super Bowl team. That's it. I don't want the distraction. I'm tired of it. Tired of the drama, the media, the questions. Why aren't the Jets re-signing you? Oh, you're going to come back. And then the negotiation, the agent starts to say, we're not going to take a franchise tag, or we're going to want to trade. And we don't need this crap. We just need to do the right thing and sign him. But he needs to do the right thing. And because we're going to do it now early, he needs to give us a team-friendly type contract. And I don't mean not leave millions on the table. But you have to do something to help us. Structure it in a way that helps us. Because you're helping yourself if you want to win. That was what made Tom Brady so freaking invaluable in New England, is that he was willing to do messed up things and take less money because he wanted to win. And how did he make that money back? Kraft bought some stupid fake product that Brady bought one of those baloney companies that, like a marketing company, let's say. He bought a product that he doesn't even produce or make, branded it, and then Robert Kraft came, was probably his only customer, and bought $30 million worth of product that cost Tom Brady $15,000 to buy. And that was how they paid him without it hitting the cap. Everybody knows it. It's rare to find that. It's rare to find it. Everybody gets so mad and says they're cheaters. You wouldn't love it if we did that. Quinnen Williams sold. It starts with a Q. Quack food. Right. Quack food. Me and my brother Quincy, we sell quack food. And I don't know, it's some snack that tastes really good. Sour powder on popcorn or something. Like some kind of weird food that tastes good, that kids love. The Jets buy $30 million of this snack. And they cut in one big deal, they cut a $24 million profit because it only cost them $6 million to produce and sell to them. And then say, okay, that's $24 million less you have to put on our contracts. Are we really going to complain? I don't know. I mean, Screw, it's not fair. New England, nobody's taking their Super Bowl rings away. They're going to cheat. I mean, geez. We want to do it the right way. What am I saying? But it pisses me off. Pisses me off. It's not fair. Tom C, what's up? Yeah, rare Saturday. Exactly. It's rainy and cold in Sacramento. Wife's downstairs doing some other stuff. I said, I'm just come up and get online. I didn't expect to be on for an hour and a half, though, to be honest. But yeah, we're having a good time. I'm surprised the Bucs, Commanders, and other teams with quarterback problems not going after them. Oh, yeah, I don't know what the Bucs are thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. I thought they'd be a big player in this quarterback market. It's not like I mean, is there someone they have on that roster already that they like? Unless they're ready to tank and then get a quarterback in next year's draft. Maybe Tampa's thinking this is the year now. We go 4-13. We'll scapegoat Todd Bowles, get him out of town, start over with a new coach, get out of some of our bad contracts, draft a stud quarterback, rebuild. Somehow I don't think that Kyle Trask is going to be a very good starting quarterback in the NFL. I could be wrong. I'm not buying it. I'm not a big Kyle Trask truther. But that's who they have. Maybe they're going to give him a shot. It'll be interesting. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, quarterback Kyle Trask. Can you imagine if you're a wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Bucs? And you just went from Tom Brady. And you were there for 3 years and playing for Super Bowls, winning a Super Bowl. And now you got big Kyle Trask. You never know. He could come out and be amazing. He could be the new Patrick Mahomes. Comes out and lights up the league. Who knows in the NFL? Who knows? They seem to believe in him. Maybe they like what they're seeing in the locker, practice. I don't know. Apparently, you can't tell a lot because the Jets staff and organization got to see Zach Wilson in practice and everything. And then for 2 years, they made schmucks of themselves talking about how good he is in practice and how he's going to be fine. And it's all going to come together and he's going to be great. Turns out it was a lot of smoke, apparently, unless he does put it all together and end up great. Bucs are cutting and releasing half the team. Why would a quarterback go there? Yeah, well, if that's true. Look, you take your shot with Kyle Trask. You find out what you have. If he's great, then you know you could build around him and you use your draft capital to rebuild. And if he's horrible, you use you're going to have a bad record and then you pick a quarterback. And that's how you do it, right? What would be the point? Yeah, it's a good point. What would be the point of Tampa Bay investing $35-40 million in Derek Carr right now? What would be the point? I guess you can argue that there's a way they could scrounge off competitiveness, especially in the NFC. But I just, it just might not be the plan. Yeah. How much do you think Saquon Barkley's going to get paid anyway? I say 13 to 15 million. He's a running back who's missed more than 50% of his career with injury. How much are you going to risk when you could get a quarterback, when you can get a running back in the third round of the draft that has a chance to be good? He had a great year. All right. But I don't know. There's a lot of baggage. I think Saquon's best bet is to stay with this coach, just like Daniel Brown. They should stay together Danny Dimes, Saquon Barkley with this coach, and be the veteran, like, core of the team that you put young and you get as good as you can around them, and you make your run. That's what I think the best career decision as far as winning and being relevant and having a relevant career. I think that's the best thing for those guys. But if they listen to their agent, it's all about money and who pays me the most money, and you don't give a damn about doing what's best for you, then you take the best contract you can and just, whatever. Good luck. 12-year for 4 years for Saquon. Yeah, well, I think that's a good friendly, like, hometown kind of thing, right? Like, I think that the Giants can make that contract happen, or should. Like, if Saquon Barkley should take that deal, because this coach is doing a lot. He's rebuilding this offense and in a really good way for him. Before this guy, it wasn't working out. He was like, no running space, no offensive line. They never gave him an offensive line. It got him hurt twice. He's missed 2 seasons of football at least. I mean, if I'm Saquon, I'm thinking, man, they've got a coach in here and they got a GM that's been building me a real offensive line, and they have an offensive system that's working. And I'm going to stay here, and and $12 million for 4 years is fine, especially if like 36 of that is guaranteed, 3 of it guaranteed, something like that. 2.8 of it guaranteed, 2 years, and then $8 million of the 12 million or something like that guaranteed, something like that really commits them for a real 3 years. Why not? Yeah, he's worth every penny if it's a contract like this and he plays like that, fine. It's not about like not thinking he's good. It never is. Like, we know Saquon Barkley's amazing. Like, we know. But that doesn't erase the concern, right? He had one healthy season. Look at the seasons before it. I mean, there's a risk factor. And for running back, there's, like, you can't afford to put 17, 18 million a year in someone and then tear the ACL again or something. Then where are you? So you got to be careful, and you got to look at positions and how hard they are to fill. If I'm the Giants, I don't want to lose them. But at the same time, you can't show desperation. You have to be able to stick to a plan and a belief system and a value system that makes sense. So this would be a disaster. That would be a disaster. We don't want that. We don't want that. It's scary that all the Bills need is a running back to be significantly better. I mean, they took Cook, the brother of Dalvin Cook, and he might end up being good. I think he's more of a role player, though. I don't think he's an every down back. What's scary, though, is that every draft there are running backs that could potentially be excellent running backs in the later rounds, and certainly rounds 3 and 4. So that's scary. Because if Buffalo uses a 3rd, 4th round pick on a running back and hits, we're in trouble. And I don't know. Maybe that guy Bijan or whatever the hell his name is going to slip to them, and maybe they just grab him, and then it's going to be a problem. It would be a problem if that happened. 1 second. I have to go, I think. My wife wants to get this beer from a place that closes at 5:00. So she's like giving me the sad face that we'd have to leave now. I don't want to. All right. Okay. I was on long enough anyway. Guys, tomorrow night, Edge, Dom C on the show. He's going to be going down to the top 10, 9:00 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here. Dom C talking about Edge coming out of this year's draft class. Thank you for joining. I love and appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching. Had a good time. Hope you did too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great Saturday night. Really, really take care of yourself. I'll leave you with, what am I going to leave you with? I'll leave you with this.
Don't not be Thibodeau. And here it comes, it's about to come in. Oh my God! They didn't. They took Sauce Gardner. Oh my God, they don't want an edge. Maybe he likes Jermaine Johnson at 10. Then we're not going to get a wide receiver?
Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. Oh my God, no edge.
The Jets traded up. The Jets traded up. Are we taking JJ? Are we taking JJ? Because I know Braden is in New Zealand saying, we should get Lily, Mike. He's definitely saying that. JJ! We got Johnson! We got Johnson at 26! We got Johnson at 26! This is great! Yes! They took Roger McCreary, they didn't take Dean, and we traded up. We can get to Kobe Dean. We can get to Kobe Dean. It really is. They took Breece Hall. They took Breece Hall. Wow. I mean, look, I love Breece Hall. But there's also Jeremy Ruckert, who I think is the best tight end in the class personally. They took Jeremy Ruckert. He took Jeremy Ruckert. Yes! We got a Jeremy. We got a Jeremy. Oh, and the Jets pick, and it's Max Mitchell, offensive tackle. We needed that. That's wow. We took Michael Clemens. I never heard of him.